us off today, tight end Sage Ennis. Y'all fire away with questions whenever you're ready.
Sage, David over TigerNet.com. Coach Riley said that his message to you and all the tight ends has been play big. What does he mean by that?
Yeah, I appreciate the question, David. I think when you talk about playing big, right, tight ends physically are usually a lot bigger than the rest of the skill players on the field. Generally, you're talking anybody, 6'3" to could be 6'6", 6'7", right? And you have the unique skill set of being able to run and catch. And if you're a blocking tight end, then you have the unique skill set to use your length and your size to your advantage. So I think when he's talking about playing big, especially for us, is just use our skill sets to our advantage, right? So using our body, our length, our size, just to our advantage, something that other people don't have necessarily, and just use it the best we can.
Has this first half been as good as you guys wanted as a group? And kind of what are the goals? Have you talked about the second half, man, we've got to bring this up a notch?
Yeah. It's the first half of the season?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the biggest thing we've tried to do with the first half of the season is as we went to the bye week, we've looked forward to getting better, looking at things that we've missed on and looking at things that we've done well and how we continue to do well and how we can continue to get better. I think if you're trying to judge on how good you've done or, the second half of the season, how good you want to be, I think you can get lost in that. That's not something you should particularly focus on. What you should focus on is what you can control. And right now, what we can control as a team is winning the day and just attacking each day and getting better, attacking our weaknesses so we can become stronger. And as a whole, just focused on the goal and the motivation of, today we're going to win the day, we're going to get better each day, and then handle the business each day at a time. So.
Sage from Untitled.com. You knew that you were going to have a lot of opportunity this season with Davis moving on and Luke Price, but how much of a motivating factor was that for you coming into this season?
Being able to learn under Davis and Luke, two completely different players, right? So Davis, someone who not as verbal, but led in a way that was very moving. And then Luke, wasn't afraid to speak his mind. And obviously just two completely different players on the field and off the field. And being behind them, getting to learn was great. And so I wouldn't say I used any of it as motivation as far as them moving on, just knowing that there was going to be an opportunity and put in the put in the work in the off season so that I'm getting the best that I can be, making sure I'm preparing myself for my opportunity. And then I've actually reached out to Davis and talked to him some just to talk to see how he's doing out there in LA, how his transition has been, and talk to him about the game and just see any opportunities that we could both grow. So no, I wouldn't say the motivation was with them leaving that there would be an opportunity. More so, I just focused on I knew that there would be an opportunity and capitalizing when I'm given the chance. So.
Chapel Fowler with the state newspaper. Can you compare what playing tight end for Garrett Riley offense is like for you versus a Streeter offense last year?
Yeah, so if you're trying to compare the two offenses, right, I mean, it's completely different. As far as making a comparison, it's kind of hard because the two offenses are completely different, right? Coach Riley's coming with an air raid type system. The system we were in before was a little bit more of a pro style, I would say. So comparison of the tight end and the use in the position is a little hard. But I will say with the offense that we're in right now, we've done a great job as far as with the tight end position, knowing what we're supposed to do. And, as we've been challenged to learn more positions, right, not just particularly our signature tight end position, but learn to split out and be in the slot wide receiver or the single wide receiver to a set. We've learned to handle that and get better in that position and that aspect. So.
Just working with Jake, tell us what it's like to have such a talented teammate there and kind of
right.
what you've seen from him this season.
Yeah, Jake. Obviously, we all know Jake is he's a unique specimen. He's great. He's got great length to him, speed, can catch, run routes, and I love Jake. I was actually with him, got to be a part of his recruiting process, and we've been able to grow and learn together and help each other and benefit from one another. And so, just being out there to be able to play with them and on a practice field, sometimes you kind of forget that you're competing for the spot together because there's just so much of a love and a care and a passion for one another that you kind of put that aside and you really just want to see each other succeed, right? So any way that I can help him and any way that he can help me, that's what we try to do.
TigerIllustrated.com. It seems like in this offense, the tight ends, you and Jake, heavily involved in blocking, lead blocking, protecting the edge, also in screen passes. What's the evaluation there on how you and Jake have done, just sort of in tandem in the blocking category?
Yeah, obviously with this offense, like I said earlier, we're kind of asked to do a lot of different things, right? Learning different aspects of different positions, not just the signature tight end Y spot, right? So we've kind of taken the charge on a few different things as far as blocking on screens, leading for the running back, things of that matter. I think as reviewing the film, especially halfway through the point of the season, I thought we did some really good things. I thought we've attacked. We've gotten better each week, and the stuff that Coach Richardson has asked us to get better on, whether that be attacking a grass defender or attacking a point of attack in the box, I think we've gotten a lot better at. I think you just continue to work on that, continue to see any flaws or anything that you can get better at and continue to do well. But overall, to answer your question, I would say each week we've gotten better and, just continue to attack the small things that need to be fixed. So.
I guess schematic adjustments at halftime against Wake, and that allowed y'all to run the ball a lot better. I think we've seen you as a sort of an H-back role. Does it feel like there's still some tinkering going on to try to get this running game going in sort of its optimum way?
Right. No, I wouldn't say really necessarily any tinkering. I mean, if you go back and you look at when we played Duke, obviously tip your hat to Duke. They won the game, right? And but when you look at it, we ran the ball a lot. We outrushed them and we outgained them as a total. And I think, at the end of the day, we just eventually shot ourselves in the foot. So I don't really think really at this point in the season there's any tinkering as far as getting the offense going or the rush game going. I think it's a matter of knowing what your opponent is going to do, try to game plan, and then at the end of the day executing. And I think we could do a little bit better job executing as I referenced. You got to tip your hat to Duke. They won the game, but I mean we ran the ball on them and ran it effectively. We just fumbled a couple times and like I said, tip your hat to Duke because they won the game. So.
You mentioned that this is a completely different type of offense. It kind of seems like each of you tight ends have to be a much more well-rounded, check all of the boxes as a tight end under this offense, especially with the quick subs that you guys are doing when you can get a sub in by the time the play call's coming in or being changed or something like that. Is that fair to say? And how much do you think you guys as a room have been challenged to really up everybody's game? You can't just be the catching tight end. You can't just be the blocking tight end with this system.
Yeah, I would say that's even before this offense, that was something that Coach Richardson really was looking for in the tight end room and just as a unit that, understand your strengths and weaknesses, but understand that your weaknesses can become strengths, right? So especially with the change in this offense and how, like you said, there is a lot of tempo. There's a lot of quick subs whenever you can get them in, right? And now you're being asked to do a lot more as far as, you might have to go play what we call the X position or the Z position, but you're usually a Y, right? So that changes your assignment. So everybody has kind of been challenged within the room to sharpen up their skills, fine-tune our strengths, but then also work on our weaknesses. And I think as a whole, like I said, but even before this offense was implemented, that's something that Coach Rich wanted us to do was just not just become, I'm the receiving tight end or I'm the blocking tight end. No, but like everybody in the room be an all-around tight end. So, I think the offense has maybe been a catalyst for that because we've been challenged and we've been asked to do more. But even before this offense was brought in, it was something Coach Rich had challenged us as a tight end room to do.
Is from Miami, but I'm sure you grew up watching the Canes play. How excited are you about going down there?
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited. I don't really have a lot of guys that I know there at Miami. I grew up about 9 hours from there because Florida is a big state as far as the geography of it. But obviously it's a school that was in the state that I grew up in, so I got to watch them. There's a lot of bad blood because some of the not necessarily against the Miami team, but with some people back home, due to the fact that they were Miami fans. They were always talking about the U is back, and growing up in Florida, you're either a Florida State fan, a Florida fan, or a Miami fan, right? So there's always a lot of talk whenever those games came up. So now to be here at Clemson and be a part of it, and obviously I played against them in 2020. We played them last year, and then this is my first time going down to Miami, so I'm pretty excited about that. It'll be unique. Obviously we've been there, we played there in the Orange Bowl, but this time we're playing against Miami, so I'm excited.
From WIFF. Cade was in here yesterday talking about how much he feels he has grown since starting in the Orange Bowl. Just where have you seen him continue to grow as a quarterback and a leader from that time you guys played in December till now?
Yeah, I think Cade has done a better job with maturity. You know, he's just gotten better holistically of growing and kind of stepping into that role. I mean, he was asked to do a lot early on, right? Just kind of thrown into a role. I mean, it's hard to, you know, you've been backing up the whole season, and all of a sudden you're starting for the Orange Bowl, right? And I mean, that can be hard. And, you know, as far as his preparation off the field and on the field, I think he's growing in that aspect of maturing and leading. And I actually sat back and challenged him. I pulled him to the side and challenged him and told him, you know, like, hey, like, let's work on this X, Y, and Z, you know, and personally I've seen him get better at those attributes, and I think he's really helped the team. And every week I've just seen him get better as far as maturing, whether it's in his preparation, whether it's body language, whether it's how he responds. I've personally watched him get better, and I can't be any more happy for him.
He talked about how he felt the Wake Forest game was one of his worst performances. Do you see that kind of accountability growing from him as someone who's always willing to point the finger at himself?
Right, yeah. I definitely would say that's something that he's taking more ownership in that. And I think at the end of the day, the quarterback, he's kind of going to get the blunt end of the stick, right? Because at the end of the day, the offense runs through him, right? So if there's going to be a finger to point, it's probably going to be at him. But for him to be in that leadership position and be able to and be humble and say, you know what, at the end of the day, like, you know, I didn't play my best game, or I could have done this better. I think that shows the growth that he's actually made, not just since the Orange Bowl, but just as a player and a leader and as a person. So.
Any questions for Sage from Zoom? Anybody else in the room?
Did any of the Florida schools recruit you go after you at all, or what's kind of your recruiting process now you got Clemson being a
Yeah, so obviously went to high school in Tallahassee, Florida, so I grew up right down the road, about 5 miles, 10 minutes at most from Florida State. So they were heavy in the recruitment. Miami recruited me. I could say probably, I think I got offered from pretty much almost every school in Florida, like UCF, USF, Miami, Florida State, FAMU, besides University of Florida. Florida Gators were the only ones that didn't recruit me. But
anyone else? All right. Thank you, Sage.
all right, thank y'all.
Deanna Terrell
Yep.
will be joining us